Our goal today is to make a light fixture that will fit on this wall and look correct with the stairs that are below it. I ended up extending this wall a little bit with the way the bathroom worked out. Now I have an off-center outlet or power, and I want to kind of make a fixture that will fill in that space and not look out of place. So here's what I'm thinking. We'll take some of this 3/4 inch angle iron, and I want to make myself out a little bit of a rectangular frame, which will intersect with another rectangular frame. And the part where it intersects is where our electrical will be kind of hiding there. And then I'll either leave the rectangles open frame, or I can always fill it in with some expanded metal or something like that if it doesn't look right. So I'm honestly not 100% sure what this is going to look like right now. I'm just going to start cutting some metal up and we'll see what looks good, I guess. All good things start with no plan.
A few moments later.
I'm just kind of laying it out on the table to get an idea of the proportions and how the two rectangles will kind of relate to each other. And it struck me that the bottom one there, the one closest to us, is a little bit too tall in reference to the long skinny one, and I just wanted to get those proportions right. So that's what we're doing here, is trimming that down a little bit. Let's see if we like that any better. Oh yeah, I like that better. All right, so this looks really weird right now because nothing's standing up the way it's supposed to be, so forgive that. I think it's gonna look pretty cool, I think. But before we can do anything, we've gotta go take these over to the grinder and get all of these corners prepped for welding. For this one, I'm actually just gonna use a flex core MIG because I'm gonna end up grinding everything down anyway. So there's really no sense in putting, wrong gloves. Really no sense in putting any more effort into the welding than needed if you're just gonna grind everything down smooth. Once I was happy with the overall shape of it and got it all fully welded up, the next step was to just go and get a 4.5 inch angle grinder with a pretty aggressive consumable disc on there and just get all of that built up weld material off the top and kind of get everything flattened back down to the base metal. And then from there we have to kind of figure out how this thing's going to mount to the wall and how far I want it to stand off. Once I got the standoffs in place, it was time to make up a little box basically to extend that center section into a little house where I can keep the 12-volt power adapter that we're going to need that's going to power the lights. Next up, it was time to try a variety of different tools and sanding discs to see what type of finish I liked the best for kind of the show sides of this thing. And the house is mostly brushed nickel throughout basically everywhere, and I wanted to kind of stay in that silver family, so I've got a 60 grit sanding disc on there now, so I was trying that in different directions, and then I tried it with different patterns, and then I switched to a wire wheel and tried that in a bunch of different ways and tried to get a brushed look for it. And at the end of all of that, I decided kind of like a random random approach to that 60 grit sanding disc gave the coolest effect, and really the one I was looking for. That it's kind of a finished but also unfinished look. I really like the way it came out. It looks kind of industrial. It's contemporary. It's a little bit modern. I don't know. I'm not an inferior designer, so I don't know much about that stuff. But I know what I like, and I like this. Next up, I needed to fill in that hole in the center where we're going to hide the adapter. So I decided to go with some expanded metal I just had kicking around. You can get this stuff at Home Depot or Amazon or anywhere too. And made sure that there was plenty of airflow there to keep everything nice and cool. Not that it gets hot anyway, but welded that in place, and that took care of that. So I did this with that sanding disc and just basically squiggled it back and forth in every direction to kind of give it that, neat reflective, at least I think it's neat, reflective look to it. Looks pretty cool. So we're gonna stick with that. As of right now, we've got a modern art piece, but it doesn't do anything. So in order to turn this thing into an actual light, I grabbed some pretty ubiquitous 12 volt adhesive LED strip lighting that you will see linked in the description. A roll of this stuff, I went with warm white, which I like a lot better than the cold, but obviously you pick whatever light color you want for yours. And runs about $10 a spool, and there's 16 feet on the spool. We're not going to use all of it, but just going to get that laid in all along the perimeter. Going to kind of loop it back through that center box, then back out again, and I'll make sure to mask off any of the LEDs that happen to fall inside of that little electrical box, because we don't want any light actually in there. You don't want you to really be able to see anything. Once that's all done, we got to get our power supply, so there you have it. This also under $10 for this little power supply. It's perfect for this solution, and connects right in with just screw terminals to your 12 volt strip lighting. I threw a couple of pigtails for the AC side just so it's easy to wire nut it up into the box once I go to get it mounted. And I'm going to throw some double-sided sticky tape on the side of that and then stick it to the bottom of the case. And that's really all there is to it. Not much to do, not much to wire, not much to worry about. One last trick I've learned to always take some super glue and dot anywhere that LED strip adhesive is challenged to hold, like in the corners and things like that. You do this, you won't have a problem. If you leave it over time, that adhesive can come up in those areas. Because this is pure steel, we can't leave it unfinished. Even in the house, the moisture in the air will cause it to rust over a long period of time. So I've just got some Krylon crystal clear, clear coat spray. Just putting a light coating basically on all of the remaining exposed metal, so it'll always look that way. And it takes a little bit of the sheen away off the metal, which for me is a good thing because it makes it look more like a nickel. But just be mindful of that it will take a little bit of the shine away if you were polishing this to a chrome look. If you wanted to polish it to a chrome look, that's another option. You can legit polish it and just seal that in with some wax and it won't rust either. So, you got some options. Not too shabby. For those of you keeping score, this light came to a grand total of 32 doll hairs. And it fits in this awkward space. I was able to utilize an off-center electrical outlet and make a light that actually fits the space. It fits the style of the house, and I think it looks really nice, especially for $32. And what's nice about this type of light is you can make this thing in any shape you want. If you want to make like a vertical sconce out of it, you can just rotate it and turn it vertical. But this is just one of those easy things you can build for not a lot of money and not a lot of skill involved, really. If you can't weld, that isn't the end of the world. Yours just might look a little more industrial because you can utilize rivets instead to attach things. I mean, there's ways to make this stuff work with very minimal amounts of tools, but just using your imagination. So I like it. The wife actually likes it, and it's rare that we both like the same thing, but this works out really good. So with that, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I want to thank you all for watching. Please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Any questions, concerns, comments, and or criticisms, you know the deal. Put them down in the comment section below me. Otherwise, everybody, thanks for watching again, and have a great day.